when gangs is in a neighborhood, a boy really has no choice but to either be in a gang or to be treated like a punk or a wimp or something.
You want respect, and when you're in a gang, people do tend to respect you in a way because you don't stand alone.
The reason why I think kids get into gangs is for protection and because they see their older sister or their older brothers in gangs or their friends and they want to be like them.
Gangs all over, man. They're all over. Joliet, Carpentersville, Hanover Park. Man, they're all over, man.
It's like we don't have like enough to do. There's nothing to do around here. There's no basketball hoops, there's no swimming pool, there's no community thing.
You know, I was one of the big boys for a little while, you know, hanging on the corner, you know, looking hard. And I was, you know, like I said, a part of something.
A gang fight in front of your house?
Yes, that's one gang members tried to kill my husband. I was so involved in such a battle to win back our street that they took it back and tried to get it from us and beat my husband up.
Did your husband go out into the street and try and fight these gang members?
He tried to help a neighbor. They were trying to break into a neighbor's home, and he ran out to help the neighbor, and they surrounded him, and
what happened?
20 of them beat him to the point where he was almost dead when I came out and tried to help him.
And how long did it take for him to recover, or did he?
Well, the scars are still there. He was in the hospital more than 2 weeks and out of work for months.
And did they do anything to you when you came out?
Did the gang members do anything? They knew that we were going to take action. They knew that I was very involved and I wasn't going to let it go. And so they pretty much went back into the woodwork and hid. And from that point on, we really did win, in a sense. I mean, it did get better from that point on.
But it took a beating of your husband and intimidation of your neighborhood to get people mad enough to do something about it?
Unfortunately, nobody wanted it to happen, but unfortunately that's how it happened, yes.
Thank you for sharing that story with us. Are there any other people here this evening who have really firsthand, either through your own eyes or through friends or relatives, suffered intimidation or violence or killing at the hands of gangs in the Chicago area? Raise your hand if you have had any experience like that. Can you stand up and tell us who you are?
Hi, John. My name is Pat Reski. I live in Rogers Park. I'm president of the Rogers Park Community Council. I work in Uptown, and I'm director of the Uptown Chicago Commission. Unfortunately, it would take a long time to tell all the names of the kids from our neighborhood who have died in gang violence. The corner near where I work at Lawrence and Winthrop is a haven of gang activity. Just the summer before last, the son of one of our members, who happens to be the older brother of a schoolmate of my daughter Solana's, was brutally murdered at the intersection of Wilson and Hazel as he was on his way to his store. He was mistakenly in the crossfire of a gang war. That's one example.
Are the gangs totally out of control there now?
Not totally out of control. Unfortunately, I think that what happens is that, as Judy was sharing with you a moment ago, just as soon as we make a few strides forward in one part of the community, what we find is that the problem will move to another area. So when we, neighborhood, police, security patrol, whatever, focus our areas, our attentions on one area, we may keep things more quiet and peaceful in that area, but the problem seems to reemerge at another location within the community.
Who else has had a problem with gangs here? Raise your hand. Yes, ma'am. Why don't you come on over here? You are?
Hi, I'm Judy Contreras. I'm the Cicero chapter of president of Mothers Against Gangs.
What kind of problems have you had in Cicero?
Well, I got involved in finding out solutions to the gang problem in our area because I've got a 12-year-old son, and I, like any ignorant parent, you know, you send your child out to go find someone to play with, and it turned out that he met a couple of the neighborhood gang members, and when I caught him walking down the street a block ahead of a friend of his, checking out the alleys to make sure this friend of his wasn't going to get beat up, that's when I put a stop to it and got involved. And I showed the gang members in my neighborhood that I wasn't going to tolerate this anymore. I wasn't going to tolerate them. And we formed a group in Cicero, Mothers Against Gangs, and they got mad. The gang members got mad, and I had my life threatened. I had my car windows smashed out. I had the home where I live, the windows were smashed out. They went to my husband's place of work and threatened his life. And
did the police help during any of this time?
Yes, they did. They helped tremendously. I told them that I told the police department I would go as far as I could with this. We took, and as long as they were with me on this, with our group, and I took these members, all these gang members who did this to me, to court. They were prosecuted. And now this summer, this happened last summer. This summer, these kids are coming to us for help. They want help. They want to get out. I think it had something to do with the fact that we did not back down and we did not give up. And now they realize that the intimidation didn't work. So they want to get help, and they want to find out how they can get out of the gangs.
All right. So we wish you the best. All right, just in the beginning of this, we've heard from two people from Chicago. We have heard from somebody from Cicero, so we've established it's not just a Chicago problem. It's a suburban problem. It's a metropolitan area problem. And for those of you at home who are joining us, we should tell you that you're listening to people who are here this evening at the Garfield Park Fieldhouse on Chicago's west side. This is a WTTW, Chicago Community Trust, Chicago Matters town meeting. And if you'll notice, we don't have a panel up here of experts. We have hundreds of people who've come to this West Side Fieldhouse in Chicago on a very hot evening, and they are all the experts. We have mothers and fathers. We have young men and women. We have probation workers. We have policemen. We have prosecutors. We have judges. We have scholars. We have social workers. We have people from all walks of life who are here this evening. And during the first part of this town meeting, we're going to hear from them, hear their witnessing of what the problem is. In some instances, it's going to be drugs. In other instances, it'll be something that's going on or not going on in the schools. Maybe some people will talk about it with respect to not enough facilities for these kids. Maybe there's nobody home. I mean, we'll hear a lot of witnesses. And then in the last half of this town meeting tonight, we're going to say, okay, we've listened with each other. Now what are we going to do about it? So we'll have a kind of what are we going to do about it part of this program. So we continue now with our witnessing. Let me, sir, ask you to stand up and tell us who you are.
My name is Rudolph Harper. I'm Executive Director of Organization of New City.
And what is New City?
It's a neighborhood group that functions around Garfield Boulevard and Halsted. Our objective is to try to inspire people to take some control of their neighborhood and control of their lives and to improve the neighborhood.
Mr. Harper, what is the dimension of the gangs problem in your neighborhood?
Well, first of all, it comes from the home, but then again, too, it spreads into the school and then it spreads on the blocks. For a number of years, we've tried to get certain elements involved, but it seems like sometimes people dismiss it. We have some school principals, with a few exceptions, that have said they don't want gangs within their schools, and they take the corrective answer to do that. But from an institutional point of view, we don't have the corrective action or the resources to deal with our young people who need to be given some sort of support and some competitive outlet.
What are these gangs doing?
Selling drugs, intimidation, strong-arming, particularly intimidating youngsters. I'm talking about youngsters 8, 9, 10, 11 years of age. Seem like the younger they are, those are the ones they want the most.
Are they out of control? Are there more of them than there are of you?
Well, first of all, I kind of think that the average citizen has to understand how to communicate with the law enforcement element, because it's not just the police department. It's the courts, it's the state's attorney, it's the judges, it's the penitentiary, it's the parole system. And let's face it, unless you have a very effective organization, you can't go through all these layers of bureaucracy. But more importantly, if there's a breakdown in church, home, community, family, that the gangs are sitting out there waiting 24 hours a day, every day with cash money. And when you talk with the philanthropic community about needing help to convince families, convince children that they need to be involved with some other suitable activity, you can't get that support.
So you're saying gangs are well organized. They have an agenda, they know the players, they know how to recruit.
It seems that way because every night they're in the newspaper. I wish I could get a newspaper every night.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, come over here. Hot tonight, isn't it?
Very.
This is a sauna town meeting.
Okay, my name is Martha Palmer, and I'm a college educator and also representing the 500 black men and women who have been extremely active in the city of Chicago coming out against gang and crimes of drugs.
By the way, tell us how that organization got started.
Well, it started basically in terms of some action that had evolved around some very young fellas who many of you know were taken over into Bridgeport and were beaten. And we began to sit down and to deal with the problems of what was happening with gangs and what was happening with drugs. We came together, we marched through communities, and then from there we came over to the west side and we began to help people who were having problems with crack cocaine and other drugs being sold in houses that were really next door to churches.
So the first part of this is that there was a racial aspect of some beatings. Now you're into the crack cocaine aspect of this.
Well, when we say there was some beatings, we don't want to say there was some racial aspects of beating because we want to prove things before we say race. But we know that there were some beatings that were not appreciated, and we felt, and the black men finally felt, that they should come out and take control of what is happening in their community. And I said, when the brothers stand up, then the sisters stand behind them. So we became the 500 black men, and it's real little, and women. So
right. But just once, tell us a little more about what the dimension of the problem is with respect. Are you talking about one major gang, 10 gangs? What are you talking about?
Okay. First of all, I want to address it as a person myself. I grew up in the Inglewood community, and most of you are very well aware of the fact that drugs and gang crimes dominated that community. And when I grew up, this was in the 60s, where I lived, the disciples intercepted with the Blackstone Rangers. And there were murders and killings and shootings almost every single day. But in my particular case, there was a mother and a father. And they gave parental guidance, and they said, you are not going to go out there in those streets. You will take your butt down to the Kelly Branch Library, and you will read. Now, don't think that just men get involved in the gangs, because the pressure was on me as a good-looking woman to be a disciple rat. If not for the element of gang banging, but then for the element of being glamorous to walk around on somebody's arm looking good. At that time, of course, I was a little smaller. But still, the whole concept of gangs, we have to look at it from a different point of view. And a lot of times when we look at gang problems, we always want to give kids the solution. This is what you better do. Those kids have a thinking capacity. We never sit down and say to them, and if you get control of the leaders, you control the gangs. Because once the leaders go in jail, they still control things from in jail. So what you got to do is find out where they're coming from. And the gentleman over there said something. I worked in a college in DeKalb, and one of the things that I told the university, I said, you all parallel almost identically to the disciples in my neighborhood. They are organized, a corporate organized organization. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they want, and they go out and they get it.
Thank you.
My name is Harold Baskin.
Wait a minute. Come over here to the mic. You're who?
My name is Harold Baskin, and I'm from the Inglewood community in Chicago, Illinois. And I just wanted to just reiterate what the young lady said earlier. I'm a part of the Inglewood Peace Initiative. I'm a former gang chieftain. in the Inglewood community in the late 70s, early 60s, and early 70s. Well, to be frank with you concerning gangs is a misnomer because they're not gangs. They are an organized, mechanized unit of individuals that got a purpose in life. And so if you let gang chieftains organize your children, you expect them to have the problems that you got in your community. On Mother's Day, Hal Baskin took the initiative to go out and get 2 rival gang chieftains and put them together on Mother's Day to create some peace in the Inglewood community.
You did this?
I did that personally. Now, the reason that was done, because we had, if you read the papers throughout the month of March and April, you know the Inglewood had the highest crime rate in the city of Chicago with drive-by shootings. So what I figured, I said, well, the parents can't handle it, the police department can't handle it. Let me talk to somebody that the gang members listen to, and that's a gang chieftain. I'm a former member of the Black Gangster Disciple Street Gang and gang chieftain.
When were you a gang chieftain?
Back in 1969, 70, and 71.
And how was it you came to be a member of a gang and a gang chieftain?
Well, by me coming from a large family, a family of 14, 10 boys, 4 girls, I had an interest to protect. And what I did, I formulated a gang around my family as a protection group, to keep from going to Francis Parker High School and get chased home every day.
So I think this is a very important point you're making. It isn't that some kid gets up one morning and says, oh, I think I'll be a bad person and I think I'll do drugs and I think I'll beat up on everybody. You're saying that you became involved out of a real need to help protect your huge family.
There's no question about that. Now, if you look at it realistically, in the city of Chicago, you had territorial turfs. And for the young lady, she was talking about sending her kid down the street. Well, as far as this park is concerned, and sending your kid down the street, if they pass the wrong territorial turf, there's some dead folks. So I'm just being pragmatic and be very serious about what the situation is in this town. And George Bush, from the top level, got to start sending some of these dollars down to some of these social programs to create jobs in this community. But what the situation is, the problem we have is organizing a mechanized unit ourselves because we are more than them. Gangs are no more than 3 to 7% of the population. That means we represent from 93 to 97% of the population. That means we outnumber them. What we got to do is recognize the problem. The problem is that they're not gangs. We got to understand what they are. They are an organized, mechanized group of individuals that can terrorize your community if you allow them. So what we have been doing with the Inglewood Peace Initiative was to bring about a peace march on last Saturday. We marched with over 150 people throughout our community using the target area between Marquette Road and 63rd Street, Halsted on the east and Racine on the west. And the people were just engrossed about coming out and said, Hal Baskin, we're glad that you come through the community. We're glad you come through here. But we didn't know anything about this. You have to educate your community. And we were out there with that Peace March initiative to educate the people that there are some people out there concerned. You can't knock on every door. You can't get the publicity on television and say, we got a peace initiative happening in the city of Chicago and in the Inglewood community to curb all this drive-by shootings and this gang violence. So when we took the initiative to go to the people who control your youth. And if you don't do that, you're greatly mistaken as a people in this city and in the suburbs. If you don't go to those gang chieftains and sit down who got control over those young whites and young blacks and young Hispanics out there, then you're fooling yourself. Because the law enforcement agents cannot help you, the churches cannot help you, the local police officers cannot help you, the courts cannot help you. You got to help yourself by educating your people what's going on in your community.
Mr. Baskin says the law enforcement people can't help you. Are there any law enforcement people here who would like to speak to that? Any policemen or law enforcement people here who want to talk to that? Yes, come right over here. You are?
Yeah, I'm Sergeant Lara from the 14th District. I'm a neighborhood relations sergeant up there. And
what is your perspective on gangs? How bad's the problem?
Well, the problem is, first of all, I'd like to disagree with this gentleman over here. There's a lot more young people that are not involved with gangs, okay? Now you have a large crowd out here. We had some events, and we asked for parents to come out, and we had 3 parents come out, or maybe 10 parents come out for an event. We've asked them to do some marches. On occasion, some people will do some marches, but we have 100 people, and there's at least 10,000 people living in the community that could do the march, and they just won't do it. They just don't come out. There's not that kind of support. We have a problem with the courts. We have a problem with the schools. We have a lot of problems, but we can't. We ourselves, how would you say, take back the community. You're talking about guys that have guns, that have weapons, so they've got to go to jail. We've been making arrests. They have to go to jail. They just cannot. They're dealing drugs. Those are good kids. Our good kids. We have 800 kids that were involved in a positive alternative program with Wright College. And there was no problem with them. We had 800 kids. They were out there every week and just for about 2 months straight. It's maybe 4 or 5% that are harassing the entire neighborhood.
All right, we have a piece of videotape we've talked a little about recruitment of gang members, and we have a piece of videotape that we want to show you now that speaks to that issue over here on the monitor.
The police tell you that gangs have increasingly become economic enterprises involved in the highly lucrative marketing of narcotics. Although many of the gangs today are in fact run by adults from prison, their survival depends upon the constant recruitment of youngsters.
They know whether or not you got one parent at home. They know whether or not you got two parents at home. They know whether or not you're on public aid. They know whether or not you're failing in school. They know whether or not you're a runaway. They know whether or not you break curfew violation every night. They know whether or not you've been shoplifting, been caught. So they have a pretty good background on you.
You know, the gangs are very organized about their recruitment. They're very systematic, and whether you're recruiting for a gang or for Harvard University or for IBM, you know, you have a strategy and you recruit. And if you're a recruiter, you know what you're after. I don't think we compete very hard as a community.
All right, yeah, tell us who you are, sir.
My name is Robbie Jaquetti, and I see some of the people that I know, the sergeant over there, Howard Layton, Brother Whitaker. All of us worked with gangs in Henry Horney at that time.
Well, that's a big public housing project on the near west side.
I don't agree with that gentleman over there.
But tell us about the gang problems in Henry Horner.
There were a gang problem in Henry Horner. It's more of a group problem, getting together to do something. The kids had to join in order to protect themselves. Major, the sergeant over there, Howard Lathan, we all knew that. We all knew that. To get kids to and from school, a lot of times the good kids did join the gangs at that time in order to protect themselves, to get to and from.
You say at that time. Is it better now?
Time. You don't say better. You don't say better. It's more of a group problem now, dealing with drugs, getting involved with illegal activity, and a lot of time it's labeled as a gang. It's really a group. There is a group of people getting together to do something illegal.
Now, that's interesting. You're the second person tonight that said, don't use the word gang.
Oh, no.
Use some other word. What's your problem with the word gang?
Because it's a group. It's a group getting together to do something illegal. I mean, the gang.
Why can't we call it a gang?
Why you want to call it a gang? I mean, you looking for something sensational?
When people shoot, isn't it sensational?
It is sensational.
Okay.
But they're shooting for a specific reason. To take over a corner, take over an area, or to get somebody involved in illegal activity.
You call them groups, other people will call them gangs. The point is, what you're talking about is a real problem.
It's a real problem.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Come right over here. Take your time. We got lots of time tonight. Who are you?
Because you see, I'm one of the old timers. I just want to ask a question. When you're debating group versus gangs, were the Ku Klux Klans a gang or a group?
What do you think?
Was John Dillon a gang or a group? There were killings. They are still in existence today. If you don't believe it, go down to some of these penitentiaries, see how the Klans controlling our boys and girls are down in these out-of-way places that are built. My thing is, there's 3 areas that we need to look. Racism, education, which makes it equality, and economics. Economics. A few years ago, when we hollered genocide and black folks was having too much babies, it wasn't that black folks were having babies. They know sooner or later if those babies were educated, they were going to compete in the job market. As far as drugs and gangs in the community, black folks don't have the money to buy them. White folks are bringing them in. You got a different system for punishment for whites who bring it in and have it shipped from Colombia, but you let the hammer down on the little man who may be selling it to get his family something to eat. Until it becomes a national agenda where Bush can look at education, economics, then you're going to have gains, and you ain't saw nothing yet.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, you are?
Hello, my name is Dwayne Ship, otherwise known as D-Love. I'm from Aurora. I'm an anti-drug, anti-gang rapper. I have a tape coming out soon also. I also work with...
Now, wait a minute, you're from Aurora.
Yes, I am.
That's 40 miles west of Chicago. A lot of people think, well, there can't be any problem with gangs in Aurora. You have gangs?
Yes, we have a big problem with gangs in Aurora. Just like Judy had mentioned, I've worked with her before in Aurora. We have a big gang problem. We also have gang members that, it's like she said before, it's also known as Little Chicago.
You have one gang or three gangs? How many gangs?
There's a lot of gangs. We have the Kings, me, a former member of the Gangster Disciples in Aurora. We have a big problem with gangs.
Are you saying that you were a former member?
Yes, I was. I'm an anti-drug gang rapper.
Why did you join?
Well, I joined because, like this guy over here mentioned before, as, role models that I look up to and all that, you know what I'm saying? And
how old were you?
I started out at 15 years of age.
And how did you get out of it?
Well, I got out of it, I did it myself. Like he said before, you have to help yourself. If you can't help yourself, and then, hey, you're still in the gang.
But did they threaten you when you tried to leave?
Not really. I did it myself,
Well, thank you very much. Thanks. Yes, sir. Come on over. And you are?
Elliot May.
And where are you from?
North Side Learning Center.
And what's your perspective on the gang problem?
Well, see, you can't get away from the gang. You're supposed to get your education in school. The school gives you some good ideas. Drugs to kill you. And the brain is going to ruin your mind. And then stay out the street. And all the police look at all around the city that drugs can kill you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am, and you are with the Northwest Austin Council, I take it.
Yes, I am.
Who are you?
I'm Mary Ann Alexander. I'm a member of the local school council at Portage Park School, and I'm also a born-again Christian. I was listening to each and every one talk tonight, and I was listening to the gentleman also saying that the church can't help, the police officers can't help, and I do disagree with that.
You think the church can help?
I know the church can help.
Has it made a difference in your neighborhood?
It made a difference in my life. And the people that I have come in contact with, I was out there. See, everybody that's sitting up in here, we have skeletons in our closet too. We just don't want to let everybody know. And
when you talk about, are you saying that as a young woman you were involved in some stuff?
A lot of stuff.
Like what?
I know what it's like to smoke marijuana. I know what it's like to drink. A lot of times children that's at home, their parents send them to go get the beer, go get the alcohol, light the cigarette. The billboards is showing how glamorous it looks to smoke with a woman hanging on your shoulder and a drink in your hand. We teach our children how to do wrong, and then we want to clamp them down and put them in the prison after we done taught them. They learn from precept and example. If we would begin to live a life before them where they can see role models, not just one, but role models for men and women, they would do better. I feel sorry for the gang members. A lot of them have left homes where they wasn't loved. Kicked out, don't even know where mama was. Daddy cut out a long time ago. They need the role model first in the home. Don't get too hard on the children.
Tell us your story, though. How did you come in contact then with the church?
Okay. It was in my community where I was staying. I was living on Karloff, and I met a minister and just decided to go to church to change my life around. I got tired because I was on my way out to partying in the streets. I love drinking, getting high, and doing all the things to go with sin. And how when he spoke to me concerning coming to church, I decided I would go. And from that Sunday on, my life began to turn around.
But you're with the Northwest Austin Council. How bad is the gang problem? Your own story aside, how bad is the gang problem there now?
It's bad everywhere. It's not no exception to the rule. It's bad everywhere. But see, this is what really hurts me is because when you begin to talk about where the problem lies, and then, but I'll have to wait for the solution part.
The solution part.
Because I sure want to talk about the solution.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah, I'm Reverend John R. Porter, Christ Methodist Church, Inglewood.
Christ Methodist Church, Inglewood.
Inglewood, yes. And I've worked with groups and gangs for about 30 years. The problem is not females. Our problem are young black males, young Hispanic males particularly, and a number of young white males, particularly young black males, who are not involved in any of the so-called formal institutions. It's idealism to say that the church ought or is doing the job. Most youth are not in anybody's church, particularly black males. That's a fact. So that if we're going to win the brothers back to the church has got to change the way in which it relates to the entire community. And there are not enough policemen, John. There are not enough policemen 24 hours a day, as Hal Basker reminded me. Not enough policemen 24 hours a day to deal with the problem by themselves. The police can't deal with it by themselves. It takes all of us. And we've got to do something to give young males some incentive, some work. If you offer a young male $8 to $12 an hour working, he'll lay that corner down.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I said that we had a variety of witnesses here this evening who could speak to how bad the gang problem is in this town. And one of them is the state's attorney of Cook County, Mr. Jack O'Malley. Mr. O'Malley? Good. Thank you for being here. From your perspective, how bad is this gang problem in Cook County?
Second only to the air conditioning problem in this room. I just walked in.
It's hot, but I think it is a testament to the care that people have, that they've come out here. They were here an hour before the program, and they're staying with us because they care about this.
Well, you're right. Let me tell you my perspective on this thing in just a couple of quick words. First, 19 years ago, I joined the Chicago Police Department, and this is where I worked, right here on the west side in the Fillmore Police District. And the thing that amazed me back then is still the thing that amazes me to this day, and perhaps I'm in a situation where I can try and affect it. When we had a serious gang problem or any kind of crime problem, when we went out to investigate it, we always, whenever we were able to identify the culprit, we always had his or her picture already. And I can guarantee every concerned citizen in this room and every concerned citizen in Cook County that if you are the victim of a crime, chances are that the person who victimizes you has done it before, has been arrested before, and has been convicted before. And if we know who they are, we should be doing something more with them, and that is, and I've gone all the way to the White House in Washington, and I've told the federal authorities, stop all of your grant programs. I said, I don't want any federal grants to help me prosecute crimes. I don't want to see any federal grants going to the local police departments, the Chicago Police Department, to help us catch criminals, because we can catch them and we can prosecute them. We need a place to keep them. And the bottom line is, I have a positive attitude. I think there's a finite number of people out there who want to hurt you and hurt your families. And if we could get the sentences we want against people and keep them in prison, and that doesn't mean we're going to take all the young black males. What it means is we're going to take all the young black people, all the young white people, all the young Orientals, Spanish, whatever, who are out there to hurt other people and get them out of the community. And that's what I think my job is, and that's my goal.
All right, now wait a minute. Okay, this is an interesting response. But let me ask you this. We read stories of arrests for crack. Is the dimension of the gang problem as we speak changing and becoming more serious in this community?
Oh, absolutely. It's far more serious. And I know the position I take is controversial, but I think that there's not an unlimited supply of people out there who want to hurt you. And if we got them out of the community, then the community would be safer. And that's what I view my role as and my job as. Now, that's not to say that we don't need to address the root causes of crime. The root causes of crime is one word, jobs. One word, jobs. But you know what? If you get jobs for people, then they won't be about there committing crime. But in the meantime, between now and whenever those solutions come about, you need to turn to your police department and your state's attorney's office to effectively prosecute and keep people out of your backyards and out of your schools from harming your children and the people that want to hurt your children. So the problem is absolutely getting worse. on the west side and the south side and in the suburbs. There's no question about that.
Thank you, sir. State's Attorney O'Malley. Alderman Smith here. Alderman Smith. Ed, come on over here. Alderman Ed Smith. Come right in here. Good evening, sir.
Fine, how you doing?
What is your perspective on the gang problem in this community?
Well, there's a gang problem, there's no question about that, but I think the gang problem is caused by a multiplicity of problems. Now, I don't think you can lock up everybody. It's impossible. We got 25,000 people in the correction center of the state of Illinois right now. They cost us $25,000 a year. You can take each one of those kids, send them to New York University, Northwestern University, take them to any of the Big Ten universities for less than $25,000 a year. So what you got to do, you got to provide these people some education. You got to provide them some jobs. And we got Jack O'Malley, we'd invited out here, I don't even know how many times, this is the first time I had him to come out. We've invited him out, but we got to sit and we got to talk and we got to be able to communicate with these young people. If you don't do that, you're going to continuously to lose them. Somebody must be able to communicate with them, and we got to get them off the corners by giving them jobs and skills that they can use to maintain themselves.
Thank you, Alderman. We've heard from the city, we've heard from the western suburbs. Is there anybody here from Evanston? Evanston, here we go. I want to hear, I've heard that there's some gang problems in Evanston.
Yes, sir, there is.
You are?
I'm Dennis Drummer. I'm a member of the organization Council of Elders, better known as Co-Pops, Co-Moms.
And what is the problem in Evanston?
Well, it's, again, it's the same as everywhere. There's a gang problem. Fortunately, we have a multi-pronged attack to deal with our gang members, and I'd like to point out that 80% of our students that leave Evanston High School do graduate and go on to other things, but it's the very small amount of kids that can cast a very bad shadow on any community.
And when you talk about a small amount, are you talking about one or two gangs with maybe 20 or 30 members? What are you talking about in Evanston?
No, that's quite a bit more than that. I don't want to lead anybody wrong. I think we have several gangs and have had for some time. I would say there's a good 5 or 6 gangs operating in the city.
And are they doing the same kinds of things in terms of drugs and violence and all that we hear about in the city?
Absolutely. It's very much the same. It's gangs, it's drugs, other violence with the older gangs. With the younger gangs, it's very much just some territorial things. But the most disturbing part about the problem is that when you work with gangs and youth for 5, 6, 7 years, and you work with young people, and then you find those very young people who was at risk several years ago are now becoming street soldiers. That's when it's disturbing, and you feel really, you wonder about your capabilities of handling that problem in the future.
Thank you for your witness. Yes, they were saying to me from the truck, do you want to talk to me for a minute? Michelle? Okay, I think that they want to show another piece of videotape that they have called Kids, this is Kids Live. So let's watch this tape for 1 minute now.
At 11, you need something to cling to other than your parents, you know. It's, you know, a role model or something. And they were the role models that I chose. You know, it wasn't a wise decision, but it was a decision I made.
And there's a lot of kids around here that are not in gangs, but they still get beat up every day, chased home, stuff like that. And kids antagonize them, you know, come on, be in our gang, be in our gang, be in our gang. And they say no, so they either shoot them, you know, and they keep beating them up.
It hits a certain time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you don't want to be out. You know, it's not a good time to be out.
If you're in school and you get in a fight with one guy and they have all their friends, then, you know, and it's just you and you just need protection, you know. So you just join another gang or something.
You can't stop kids from gang banging because there's always going to be somebody that's going to influence them. And that's the main problem right there. People influencing.
Yes, what's your name?
Rayshonda Young,
Where are you from?
Chicago, Illinois.
Do you know what neighborhood?
Projects.
Are you from the projects?
I used to live in projects. I'm on 74th and Yale.
How old are you?
11.
And did you run into gang problems?
Yes.
What kind?
A big GD
The what?
against the disciples.
And what did they do?
They was hanging out a window. They said that's the girl who was at Beethoven. I took her stuff, and they hit me on my arm right here.
So you're saying that that's an injury from the gangs right there.
Yes.
What, do you think anything can be done about gangs?
Yes.
What do you think?
They can. Some people can stop the gangs by helping their own self.
Just help your own self. Thank you very much. And what is your name?
LaTroy,
How old are you?
9,
Where are you from?
Chicago,
Whereabouts in Chicago? You from the projects? You know what neighborhood?
51 South Indiana.
Any gang problems? Can you tell me about them?
It's these boys around my house, they be fighting, doing drugs.
They've been fighting and doing drugs. You think anything can be done about drugs, gangs, fights?
Stop.
Just stop. Thank you very much. And your badge says Mothers Against Gangs. What town?
City of Chicago.
What part?
All over. I am the founder of Mothers Against Gangs, Frances Sandoval.
And Frances, you can tell us, if you would, briefly, why you started Mothers Against Gangs.
Well, briefly, I was a victim. My son was a victim. He was murdered at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, January 23rd, on the school steps. But Arthur was not the first victim. I come to learn that hundreds of children had died in and around schools in the past 25 years. The issue here is, and I think we better open our ears and start listening. Adults are talking. Listen to the children. You heard the young man say, you heard the video. They influence them. He just said, they're selling drugs and they're fighting. What I hear in the street from the kids is, why doesn't somebody do something? And yes, when Mr. O'Malley says, when he says that there are some of them that you have to lock up and throw away the key, that's the truth. Gangs is a minority defaming our community. They are not the majority. Our children have to live in those communities that are gang infested and violence is rampant. Those children have to live and walk that line every single day.
Now, your son was killed near a school.
He was on the doorstep.
He was on the doorstep. Now, some people watching this might say, we know it's rough out there, but at least when they get to school, it'll be okay. Has there been anything that's improved with respect to how they deal with schools now?
The problem with schools now at a city level, finally, they have woke up and decided that our children are more important than our banks. We have police officers, which we should have had 20 years ago in our schools, or 10 years ago.
Has that made a difference?
Yes, it has, but we have a problem. You have bureaucracy setting in, and you have the factor of it's not happening in our community. In the schools, over 125 guns were taken off children this year with the monitors. Do you know what happened to those kids? They were sent home by the principal, and they were given a 9-day suspension like somebody who was cutting class. So what are you doing? What are you saying? You have to let these kids know that this is not going to be tolerated and it's not acceptable. And the most important thing is, it is our responsibility to provide a safe environment for our children. It is the administration of any city or any town's responsibility to make sure that those people are safe. It is not a gift. It is the state's attorney's responsibility to prosecute people who have either assaulted, murdered, and maimed people and gotten away with it. Because I'll tell you something right now. Those guys that drive by, I don't care what neighborhood, because a pain, a loss of a child, I don't care what color you are, every mother's pain is the same.
Mrs. Sandoval, thank you very much. There's a man here this evening, another man, I believe, named O'Malley, who is, I think, a very real witness to the situation in schools. You are?
Patrick O'Malley. I'm a trustee of the Chicago Teachers Union, and I'm the chairman of the Safety and Security Committee of the local school council, 16 high schools.
Any relation to the, are you any relation to the state's attorney?
Well, since he got elected, I am his relation.
But do you by the way, do you sympathize with his desire to have more money to lock people up that they can prosecute?
Yes, I understand where the state attorney is coming from, but I'd like to put a different twist on it, and that's this. 50 years ago, Winston Churchill came to this country and he asked the United States Congress to give us the tools and we'll do the job. The job has to be done in education. The schools have to be made safe. And everyone is talking about something, and that's simply money. And I'm quite tired to hear people say, repeating, money is not the answer. Well, money is the answer for a lot of things. Alternative schools. When we have gang problems in the schools, it's like the lady said. They're treated like they've got a cold and they're going back home. It's the same old thing we do for truancy, for tardiness, or anything else. It has to stop. A message has to go out to the gangs, and that message has to be, our schools are going to be safe, and around the schools are going to be safe. Now, that needs money, and we have to have money. If Mr. Gorbachev can get $1.5 billion from Mr. Bush, the Chicago public school system certainly needs money for the safety of our children.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Why don't you stand this way? You are?
My name is Wayne Williams. I am a full-time volunteer counselor for substance and addictions. I'm also co-founder and chairman of Batters Anonymous, a program which advocates nonviolent lifestyles.
Now, somebody might say, well, what does that have to do with gangs?
Well, it has a lot to do with, I beg to differ with Mr. O'Malley. Maybe Mr. O'Malley over there can get some money from the money that Mr. O'Malley over there is trying to save, catching these people and rehabilitating these people instead of incarcerating these people. A lot of these, there are different categories of gangs. When we hear the word gangs, we make one big generalization that they all are drive-by people. Well, we just saw some kids on that screen, Mr. O'Malley, who you could not prosecute as adults. These kids deserve special considerations. These children deserve, as this gentleman said earlier, role models and attention. I just believe that these children can, it's all, in domestic violence court, I see a lot of broken homes and displaced families, and a lot of it starts there. The Bible says charity begins at home and spreads abroad. The correction to this problem begins at home.
So you want Mr. Bush to bring some of the money home?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir. Why don't we go up there? You have and Mr. O'Malley, I'll get to you in a minute. You have a sign that says know the law.
Right.
Who
Mr.
are you?
Calloway, my name is Carol Folks, and I'm with the Chicago Intervention Network, a Department of Human Services program. We want this law enforced here in the city of Chicago. Really, we would like it enforced throughout the country. It states, as supporting what this gentleman just said, this law states that any youth who commits certain crimes within 1,000 square feet of a school, which is approximately 2 blocks in either direction of the school, will be tried as an adult. This is part of what the Department of Human Services does in our everyday duties. We go around, we take this law, we make this law known to the schools, to the youth, to the teachers, the principals. We work with the police department, and we also work with the courts to try to get this law enforced, because the only way we're going to get it enforced is that we all work together and we all know it, and that we ask that this particular law be used when a youngster commits a crime. This law is 24/24. It is 365 days a year. It also protects our kids around the park districts, because kids have problems coming to and from parks.
Thank you very much. Mr. O'Malley, you've had a couple of people respond to you, and I think you ought to be given a chance to respond to them.
Sure. First to Alderman Smith, who said he's been invited out. I've been invited out here and have not been here. That's not true. I've been out to the west side, and I have been in this building, sir, at anti-gang rallies in community control rallies, and the person who was not here with me was Alderman Smith. So I've been here before. That's all right. Now,
wait, let him have his say.
On to the gentleman over here. You want to talk about rehabilitation? I'm telling the people here and anywhere in Cook County, somebody drives by and shoots your kid, your state's attorney's not going to try and rehabilitate him. I'm going to try and do I am not going to try and rehabilitate the person who criminally sexually assaults, you know what that means? Rapes your child. I'm not going to try and rehabilitate him. I'm going to do what's on that chart up there, and I'm going to try and put him away and keep him away. Now, that's not to say that I disagree. That is not to suggest that I don't agree with what the alderman suggested and what the gentleman over there suggested. That what the youth of this community and every community need are role models and education, sending them to college, getting them job opportunities. But the person who's responsible for providing those educational opportunities and those job opportunities are your elected aldermen, not your elected state's attorney. That's not my job. My job is to prosecute them, and I will.
Okay, we're gonna have a little rebuttal here. First of all, we're shake hands. Shake hands, all right. Now we got them shaking hands. Now, Alderman Smith, you want a little reply?
First of all, let's assure the people that there's no campaigns going on.
All right. Wait a minute. There's a campaign against gangs going on.
Well, that's a continuous campaign.
That's what we're here for tonight. Let's win that election.
We are concerned about that. And here's what we're trying to do. In this community, there are a lot of problems. We cannot solve these problems as individuals. That means that Jack O'Malley, Ed Smith, the community people, the pastors, the teachers, the community, everybody's got to be involved in the process. Now, what I'm going to do is commit myself to work with Jack, and I hope he will commit himself to work with me so as we can provide all of the expertise that we can find to this community.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Wait just a second. Let me say a word for the people at home. We're a little more than halfway through this 90-minute town meeting, which is brought to you this evening by Channel 11 and the Chicago Community Trust in the Chicago Community Trust Chicago Matters series. Let's take those words seriously. Chicago Matters. We're here on a very, very hot night, hundreds who have been testifying as to what the problem is. And what we said we would do for the latter part of the program is, okay, you've described the problem, and I think you really have described it very vividly. Now we're going to talk about what can we do about it. So any ideas that we have about what you want to do about it, this is the time. Wait just a second. Come right here. You are.
My name is Margaret Vasquez. I live in Bridgeport, and I have a few statements I'd like to read to you to this town meeting, if I may.
Just briefly.
A mother's plea for life. A son of our community dies. Mother's statement. I would like for the death of my son, Miguel Carlos Vasquez, to be a lesson to all the boys and girls in this neighborhood and many other neighborhoods to think twice before joining a gang. When you join a gang, it's just like committing suicide, because at the end, you are either locked up or dead. When you join a gang, you are proving to yourself and your family that you either want to spend the rest of your life in jail or you want to die young. When you join a gang, you only make a name for yourself and become a target to die. No matter if you try to get out or not, they'll get you one way or another. I would like you to know my son, Miguel Vasquez, did not die a gangbanger. He had got out of that, but that still did not, they still did not care. They got him anyway.
They got your son?
Yes, on the 4th of July, they shot him in cold blood. It was a senseless killing. He was only 17, and he was going to be a better person, and they did not give him a chance.
How long ago was this?
This was in 1989, July 4th. They shot him, and he died the next day, July 5th.
And when you say they, do you know who they are, and have they been apprehended?
Well, there was one person that was arrested for his murder, and 2 days later, after the shooting, he was let out on bond. And that's another anger I have with this bond thing, and I will read it very fast. We, the people of the United States, have to make a change in the system of the government relating to bonds that are given to murderers. No human on this planet who has been killed should be insulted by his or her killer being allowed a bond for committing the ultimate crime in the world. Families of the victims are left to live in fear and anger. Furthermore, I don't think it's fair when an accomplice to a murder is asked to be a witness instead of being treated as someone that's helping and allowing a person to be killed. They are just as guilty and need to be punished and locked up away from society. Their home should be in prison, as if living like they're 6 feet under is what they deserve. But I'm not suggesting the death penalty for a murderer and their accomplices. Prison is justice, spending the rest of their lives in prison to die. Setting bail before the trial allows the killer to be free in the streets to maybe kill again. Let's put an end to bonds issued out to cold-blooded killers. Murder shouldn't be tolerated. No amount of money should justify and be equal to a life. Murder is and always will be the worst crime in the universe. Stop. Put an end to bonds that give freedom to sick and evil children of the devil, letting them back out into our streets. In my opinion, the parent of the murderer is just as sick and evil for raising $10,000 to set free his child who ended a life to someone who didn't ask to die. No one has the right to take a life, not even the law. God made all and hit your take all. God is the law. The system is not being fair to the dead and the families. Judges and society must begin to take murder crimes seriously.
Thank you very much. I just want to ask you if you agree that murderers, I want to ask him about bond for murderers.
I could not say it as, I hope your film was able to pick up the woman shaking, talking about the death of her son. I could not agree with her more. Someone who's charged with murder should not be permitted out on bond. And I challenge anyone in this room to find me the parent or family of a victim and tell me that that parent or family wants the offender to go to college.
Thank you very much. Let's go over here. Yes, solutions. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Your name?
Jan Camella. I'm the president of the Illinois Association for At-Risk Youth and currently coordinate truancy and dropout prevention in the south suburbs of Thornton Township. And I'm not an expert on gangs, but I think I know a lot over the last 25 years about kids that can be recruited to gangs or that are victimized by gangs. I agree with the state's attorney. Money for law enforcement when there aren't enough prisons to hold people is not cost effective, first of all. And the gangs, from what I understand from the ex-gang chieftain and other people who have had personal experience with gangs, they are united, they are structured.
Okay, but what to do about it?
They have a purpose and they have money.
What to do about it?
Give that to the community, a united community that's structured, that has a purpose, not to mention weapons to deal with whatever needs to be done. And I'm not talking about guns, that's their weapon. Our weapon is prevention. And we need to deal with kids who are truant. They lose respect for the law, first of all, because in Cook County, no truant has to answer for their behavior. We are the only county in Illinois where truancy is not a crime that is punishable with intervention from juvenile court.
So clean that situation up.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We've got to really move. Yes. Let me come back here. You are.
Sandy Chavez, and I'm with the Pilsen neighborhood.
Yes.
And I witnessed a homicide. It was a gang-related homicide. And because of that testifying, my whole family was terrorized for years. I have two brothers who were shot. My mother was shot at. I was shot at while I was carrying my 6-month-old baby. My brother still got fragments of the bullet in his head, and the defendant that we testified against walked out of the criminal court building.
When did this happen?
This was in '86. And he's still a fugitive to this day.
What can we do about this?
When they have, this one defendant had 3 bail bond jumpings already. He should have never gotten a bail bond at all. He should have never received the bail.
I see the state's attorney applauding.
I also work for the victim witness units in the state attorney's office. And I work there because I was a victim and a witness, and I feel that I can come for the people because I know what the feeling is.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah.
I got something for the solutions.
Solutions.
I think they should get involved in more program activities through the churches, through the YMCAs, and through the park districts, all kind of recreation, every recreation facility.
Lots of sports, right?
Not just sports, any kind of activity.
Any kind of activity.
Some long as it's positive, anything positive.
Yeah.
And I think they go to some like I went through, like programs like Foundation One In Touch, that helps you create different type of games, because everybody ain't good in sports. So you need all kind of different type of activities so everybody can get involved.
Thank you very much. Yeah, wait a minute. I want to get. Yeah, come on over here. Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to say that Illinois, the state, already has the highest incarceration rate for youth. So I think as far as the solutions, two, one, the youth have to be at the front of changing the situation because they're the ones that are going to lose the most. Their future's at stake. Secondly, we're talking about youth being killed senselessly in the streets. And I just want to ask this. Who's talking about right now they're voting on the state budget? They are going to cut millions of dollars. And who's talking about those lives that are going to be lost because the youth that are trying to hang on, there's not going to be alternatives for them. And I think we need to send a message to those that are the so-called leaders that that's not leadership and that's not the solution, more prisons or more police.
Thank you very much. Let me come back over here. Yes, sir, you are?
I'm Emmett Hines. I'm here representing the Phoenix Society and the Garfield Council Center of the Greater West Side.
And the Phoenix Society is?
The Phoenix Society is a self-help group that is put together to try to combat crime, drugs, poverty, joblessness, and a myriad of ills on the West Side. We also associated with a number of other groups, including the Campaign for a Drug-Free West Side, and on and on and on.
What solution?
My solution is that we have to understand that the children that we're talking about are our children too. It's not us and them. We're all part of the same community. We can't put all our children in jail. What we need to do is go to the core. There's 57% unemployment this summer. If the gangs can employ kids, why can't we? If we can spend money in Persian Gulf to control oil, why can't we spend money to control our own kids?
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My name is Kenneth Anthony Bledsoe, and I'm with Operation Outreach God's Gym in Elgin, Illinois.
Elgin, Illinois?
Yes, sir.
Now, some people might say, well, you don't have a gang problem there.
You want to bet? Whatever you got in Chicago, we got there. We got 5 gangs there. They're active. The answer is not locking these kids up. What are you going to do? Put everybody in a human warehouse? Ask anybody that's ever been to the joint. Who runs the joint? Ask your attorney. Who runs the joints? That's not the answer. For instance, do you know what they call the youth dorm at Cook County Jail? Gladiator School. We need programs. Our facility, for instance, it's been ran on nothing but donations for the last 6 months since we opened.
You need government financing.
We just received a grant. But the thing about it is, we need these programs, education, athletics. We have to make a well-rounded individual, not just, lip service. You lose your credibility when you tell these kids, oh, we're going to do this for you, we're going to do that, and then the funding runs out. What do? You lose your credibility. You can't get them to do anything for you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Joel Perez from Operation Outreach God's Gym. I was a gangbanger on the southwest side of Chicago. You talk about these guys that are making the money and selling drugs and stuff. Every gangbanger that was bad and every dope dealer that was making money is dead that I know of right now or in jail. So you see these little kids, they don't want to be big-time gangbangers or big-time dope dealers. They want an alternative. Most of my ex-friends, they're telling me, hey, Joel, what you got to offer? This year, the city of Elgin gave us $50,000 to open up a center. And I think that's what it needs. People like O'Malley, and not to put him down, but people like him have never been on the streets, don't know the heartbeat of our young people.
Wait. You can say a lot of things about Jack, but you can't say that Jack has never been on the street. How long were you a policeman? Okay, I'm just saying if you've been a cop, you've been on the street. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay, wait, just a minute. I said, is that right? And you said, that's true. I just want to get that straight.
Okay, but that's a different world.
I understand it. They're saying he hasn't run in the gangs.
No, what I'm saying is that they're stereotyped, I work with cops. Cops are good guys, They try to do their job. They need the support of the community, of course. They need support of You know what? If you got ex-gangbangers, I got saved 8 years ago. That's what changed my life. If they were to have ex-gangbangers, all the ex-gangbangers that got saved by the Lord Jesus Christ, we would have an army right there.
Come down just a second. Yes, ma'am. I'll hold it.
Mr. O'Malley, you're talking about warehousing and sending more people to jail. I just finished working for the Illinois Department of Corrections, and I need for you to know that those gangs are still, they're out in the streets. When they come into the prisons, they're still gang banging. You have people who are dying in jails, not only the other inmates, but you have other employees who are losing their lives. I've worked in the prisons. I'm now working for Youth Service Project, a community that's in the neighborhood that's trying to give back to the community, trying to get these kids to realize that they need positive role models. We need our churches. We need our schools. We need everybody to work together. We need our aldermen, our states and counties, state people, our local people, everybody to come together and realize that the problem at hand is larger than just this group or that community organization. We need to pile all of our resources together and stop fighting amongst ourselves and realize that we're losing. These people we're sending back sending to jail, they are coming back to our community, and when they come, they're going to be mad as ever and mad as hell, and they're coming after all of us.
Thank you. Yes, sir, we have somebody over there. Tell us who you are.
Hello?
Oh, wait, let me come over. Let me get over there if that microphone is not working. I believe your name is?
Jim Hobson. I'm the supervisor here of Garfield Park, and on behalf of the Chicago...
Thank you very much for your hospitality tonight. You know how to hold a warm party, Mr. Hobson.
And on behalf of the Chicago Park District, I'd like to welcome everybody. I was very, very happy that Channel 11 decided to come out here and do this story because it's very dear to my heart. I've been here for 6 months. However, I came from one of the roughest parks in the city up north, and I am very happy to be here. First of all, I recognize the problems of young people have for the last 12 years, and we are working diligently, the Park District as well as our volunteers here, in turning this community around in terms of our young people. The emphasis are on young people. Programming is the most important thing here. As a matter of fact, I brought a very, very effective program with me from from Kiwanis Park. Can't get out of that. I brought a very effective program with me. A lot of you may not agree with me, but it has worked up there and it will work here. It is working. And that is our basketball program, which runs, and let me tell you, which runs every day of the week. We have 9 to 11-year-olds, 12 to 14, 15 to 17, and the age group that most people don't want to deal with, which I've dealt with for 12 years, 18 to 23 years old. Let me tell you let me give you some interesting figures. That age group, between 18 and 25 years old, most of the crime occurs between the hours of 8 and 2 o'clock in the morning. We are saying that in this gym, if we can bring those people off the streets, along with the 15 to 17-year-olds and all of the rest of the kids that need to be nurtured, then we are going to do it. I have implemented this program without one dime. I have no money for the trophies. However, I'm going to go out and get it just like we did up there. We have approximately 800 youngsters involved in one program. That's just one program. We have a full schedule of programs. And so programming, most of these people in here have mentioned it, have alluded to it. Definitely, programming is the most essential thing in our communities now. The schools are not providing that activity that needs to be provided after 2 o'clock, and the Park District does.
Thank you very much, and thanks for your hospitality. Yes, ma'am. Your Mothers Against Gangs from?
Joliet, Will County, Illinois.
Your name?
Treese Griffin, and I also work for Will County Juvenile Detention. And I'd like to say Mothers Against Gangs helped support that law about safe school zone, and the Joliet area made it an ordinance, and we have it throughout all our schools, signs up. We did education, and I think that's where it's at. And we also put out a flyer on gang awareness to teach parents what is gang awareness about. The main thing about gangs for parents, it's denial. It's just like alcohol and drugs when we were kids growing up with uncles and they pretended he was sick. You know, when we were growing up, we could have drawn Star of Davids and pitchforks and it wasn't any big deal. But I'll tell you today, bells better start ringing off in parents' heads. And I agree, we need more supportive programs for our youth, because in Joliet alone last year, out of 24 homicides, 15 of them were gang-related. Of the 17 arrested, 15 of them were under the age of 20. We need programs to help the kids, and we need positive role models to say, I can instead of I can't. Change your attitude to gratitude, and we need the people out there to say we care.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Sandy Allen, and I'm a social worker at a public high school located in the West Englewood community. I have the opportunity on many occasions to sit down one-on-one and speak to the gang members. And what I'd like to say to the adults here is what they need is love. Reach out and hug them.
Thank you very much. Quickly, do you have an idea?
Yes, I'm from Cicero. My name is Sally O'Donnell. I'm Cicero Berwyn Stickney Interfaith. Everybody's talking about solution, the police and the jails. I'm telling you, we've been working with the gang members one by one. We've recruited them out. They need attention, guidance, and it starts from these parents. We need to get to their pockets and make them pay for the damages, the graffiti, the harassments that are being done in our towns. And we're all tired. I know.
All right, parental responsibility.
Yeah.
All right, let me come back over here. I want to come back, and then I'll come back. We have a gentleman from Northwestern University who has an idea or two. Mr. Moskos, professor of sociology at Northwestern, and a man who knows a lot about young people in the military. Do you have some ideas about national service?
One thing that brings everybody together here tonight, John, even though there's been a lot of disagreement, is the kids need options. They need meaningful options, and it is going to take money. Nobody's mentioned here, by the way, that now that our military is shrinking, a lot of options for a lot of young minority men and women are going to disappear. What we need is to make civilian options equally available. During the Depression of the 1930s, President Roosevelt developed something called the Civilian Conservation Corps, which could be used as a kind of a model. It would have to be changed for the 90s. That had 500,000 young men in it during that time. After World War II, we spent, in today's dollars, $50 billion for a GI Bill to reward young people who serve their community or their country. We're going to need that kind of a sum today. This country has to realize that we are in a depression, at least in these neighborhoods, a 30-year depression, actually, and it's going to take big bucks. And by the way, we did pass in this last session of Congress a pilot program of national youth service, which would offer for the organizations that are represented here the opportunity to hire young people with federal funds and then offer them an educational benefit when they completed 1 year of service. The President signed that in November. He has delayed implementing it for 8 months now.
But you're saying there has to be national leadership. With all due respect to every individual group here this evening, there has to be a national leadership on this.
I think it's going to have to take a president, to be perfectly honest. But at the bottom, we can start writing our representatives in the House, our senators, and things of this sort. But it will take a president, and the present president doesn't seem to be too concerned about it.
Thank you. Wait just 1 second. Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir. My name is Paul Wesley Ramey I. I'm a precinct captain of the 19th precinct, which is the cleanest precinct in the city, the 28th ward, which is the only ward in the city. I can talk about the solution basically because for 14 years I was involved in the village of Robbins, which in 1977 had one of the highest serious offender programs in the state of Illinois. Serious offender indexes. In 1977, we started a program called the Robbins Juvenile Advocacy Unit. I left there in '89. I'm very glad to say that we left with the serious youth problem lower than it was when we went in. It takes the police department. I'm going to talk about solutions. I don't believe in talking about problems, and I can also talk quick. It takes the police department, number one, to be respected. Number two, to be visible. And number three, and I know this for a fact, when we call the police, we get hesitant about giving them our names, numbers, addresses, identification. But now, hold on. There should be nothing that makes us hesitant to ask for the name of the police officer we're talking to. That then gives you a paper trail, which you then, when you go to the next step. In my precinct, I'm going to be very brief with you, but I've been standing here for a minute.
Okay.
In my precinct, I know for a fact there's nobody here that will allow a gang in their home. Everyone that will allow a gang in their home, raise your hands. Okay. Don't allow a gang in your home. Don't allow one on your block.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wait just a second. Ron, come on down. Ron Austin, tell us your organization.
It's Chicago
wait a minute. Let me, hang on a second.
I'm Division Director for the Department of Human Services Chicago Intervention Network. And I think, John, when this program began, we were on track. We were talking about education. We were talking about community networking. We were talking about communities becoming involved. what CIN does is that we go into the schools. We have serviced over 167 schools this year. And what we instill in these kids is how they can live, how they can prosper, how they can pull themselves up from this society as these communities that are plagued with gangs and drugs, what they can really do to help themselves. And I think what we need to realize is that incarceration and locking these kids up are not the answer. They deserve the opportunity to be educated. They deserve the opportunity to raise families. They deserve the opportunity to have children of their own so they themselves can be role models.
Thank you very much. Let's go back over there for 1 minute.
My name is Maria Woodleader, and I live and I work in Logan Square, and I've been working with the police department. I've been working with our church. I've been working. The word is work. Work together. Parents work together. Community work together. Church groups work together. All I keep hearing is all kinds of other negative sayings, but it's work, and it takes a lot of work to clear everybody that is doing wrong in your community, in your neighborhoods, and in your blocks.
Okay, we got it. Thank you. Work.
Hi, I'm from the Northwest Austin Council.
Northwest Austin Council.
Yes, and what I wanted to say was these kids have to be taught. We all have to know that we are here for a reason and a purpose. God put everybody on this earth for a purpose. And I want our younger kids to know to stop letting television and society define them. They see all these negative role models, and that's what they take up because that's what you're telling them who they are.
So watch the TV. You're saying cut down on the TV and know what your children...
I'm saying don't let society define you. They see all these negative images and they take them on. And that is not them. They need to know that they have value as a person.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Bob Von Drasek, South Austin Coalition. I think what the professor from Northwestern was saying was very important. We need not only do we need a national policy on youth and a national policy on drugs, we need a local policy on youth. The biggest thing we've had in the city of Chicago is how to deal with scofflaws. We've had a city administration, this is not just the daily administration, but continuing administrations which do not have any positive plan on youth. There's no division of youth. Y used to have the street program. We have no comprehensive plan on what to do about drugs. Campaign for Drug-Free West Side, and some of the West Side groups are trying to put that together.
So have you talked to Mayor Daley about this?
We've tried to talk to Mayor Daley. We have the City Council with Alderman Smith actually passed a resolution 2 years ago. Alderman Jesse Evans has proposed a department on drugs. We've really gotten nowhere with...
Mr. Mayor, if you're listening, you've got a suggestion. Yes, sir.
Rich Cervantes with Elgin Community College, but I'm here representing the Elgin Gang Task Force. We think that this is wonderful that the parents are getting involved, that police agencies and schools are getting involved, but it's not enough. We need more than policy, we need action. We believe we have taken that step by forming the task force and providing a forum for the continuing discussion of the problem and the implementation of action. We need prevention in the elementary levels, we need intervention in the secondary school levels, and we need suppression at the police levels. We believe we have taken a step to do that in providing that forum, and we think that other communities need to recognize you cannot fight gangs without the organization that they have.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Okay, in our community, I'm with the Northwest Austin Council, and in our community, what we did, we built youth councils for the kids in our community. What we did, we took gang members off the street and put them into activities like track, wrestling, and basketball. We took things so that we can work with them. We don't want to take them away from the community. We want them to be involved with some of the things in the community.
Does it make a difference when they get involved in those things?
Yes, it do. It make a big difference because they're not writing on the buildings. They're not snatching purses. And also, in our community, what we did, we have a radio patrol. The kids in the community, along with the adults, what we do, we ride through the community at night and secure our community. And what we do, we hit the business on North Avenue and make sure that they participate in these activities, keeping gang members out in front of their business and keeping their business clean in front of their property.
Okay, thank you very much. Wait, just a second. Yeah, just a second. Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Albert Stanback, and I'm from the Garfield Counseling Center and also a member of the Phoenix Society. And I've been hearing people saying that we should just take the youth and lock them up. Well, I'm an ex-gang member, and I've been through the penal system, and I find that the majority of people that go through there is bound to be repeat offenders. The reason why, there's no programs in the penitentiary. When they get ready to release you, they give you $100 and just kick you back in the street.
How
no
long
skill.
were you in? How long were you in?
I was in there for a year. You know.
What did you do?
I had a possession of controlled substance.
And how did you go straight?
Well, it's programs like Garfield Counseling Center, you know, that I went through. I'm currently a counselor now for substance abuse. I'm living a productive life now.
So
because
you need
of programs like Garfield. See, we got people like Governor Edgar saying, cut the money, and the money that they're spending on people to go to the penitentiary, $20,000 a year, they could take some of that money and put it back into some programs to help our people.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I just want to say that the main thing, I'm listening to everyone speaking about programs and everything, but the main thing is that people have left Christ out of their life so long, and without Christ you can do nothing. We got to get back to basics.
We heard from you earlier. Thank you very much. Yes. Wait, hang on 1 second. Yes.
What I want to say is it's not the state attorney's fault that they're not being prosecuted. It's the judges who are letting them out.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Yes.
Hi, I'm Mavis Woodard from the Nobel Neighbors, and this gentleman here is the current president of the Nobel Neighbors, and he can explain to you what they're doing now currently.
All right, what are you doing in your group, Nobel Neighbors?
Right, my name is Douglas Bostic. I'm the president of the Nobel Neighbors. We go around, we set up vigils, we set up a table, we invite our whole community to come out and sit on the street with us. We patrol the schools, we have a radio patrol service. I've been attacked by the gangbangers. I lost my eye last July the 18th. I went to the hospital. They hollered, I'm going to operate on you right away. I got up and I walked out. I still see out of my eye. I'm still out there on the street giving them hell, and I'm still going to keep doing it.
Thank you very much. Let's go over there for one. Yes.
You guys, he's coming up.
Yes, go ahead. Could we be quiet and listen to them for just a minute, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Marjorie Aiken, and I'm the counselor at Darwin Elementary School in Chicago in Logan Square. And the family can't do it by themselves, the school can't do it by themselves, and the police department can't do it by themselves. So we have formed a coalition together with our school, the families, and the police department to make a positive alternatives program. In December, we had a graduation with 800 people, and we had 800 parents in a community room such as this full of people, and we had no news media to talk about the good things our kids are doing. But when they have problems in the courts or in the schools, everyone's there to cut them off.
Thank you very much. And let's go up there to that microphone up there.
My name is Rosa Garza, and I work for Mujeres Latinas en Acción. I myself was an ex-gang member, and I rehabbed. I'm here, and now I'm a soldier out in the street. I think an important thing is that we start working with the kids at the age of 5. We have a lot of gang members that are 5 years old. We're not thinking about those kids. And, you know, we have to have a lot more after-school programs and take advantage of the YMCAs and other social service agencies. And I also think the government should restore the funds he's been taking away.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to the audience at home, I want to remind them that we're coming around the bend on it. I think a very interesting and productive town meeting here this evening, which is being held at the Garfield Park Fieldhouse on Chicago's west side. It's brought to you by Channel 11 WTTW and the Chicago Community Trust in their Chicago Matters series. And I think that it has been clear this evening that the people here think Chicago matters, the entire Chicago area. One of the things we want to tell you is that near the end of this program, we'll not only show the credits of the people who worked hard to bring this program to you this evening, but we'll also show you the credits of just any number of community organizations who are here this evening, organizations which really care enough to come out every day and do something about gangs and do something for young people. I don't know whether this suggestion or that suggestion will be implemented, but I do know that when you see the honor roll of community organizations that came out here tonight, it shows you that if we go down, we're going to go down fighting in this town against gangs. Yes, sir.
Hey, John, I'm Jesse Patterson from Ham. We're located in Henry Horner. And I think that we as parents need to be more adequate in bringing up our kids today.
Individual responsibility.
Right. I think we should be more supportive of the youth today.
Okay, that's an excellent suggestion. You are?
Jason Holderness. Now,
How old are you?
14.
Where are you from?
Morale. Chicago.
Okay. What's your idea?
Well, how can we have these games, baseball, and everything like that, sports, when the representatives are taking all our money? And how does he know about how it is being chased home by a gang and beat up by it? He never been on the streets. It's hard. It's hard for us out here.
Yeah.
I feel that gangs should stop and all that.
You think what?
Gangs should stop and you should stop running home and stuff like that and tell the principal to don't let the gang people get near your house.
What do you think?
I think that the senior citizens need more help too, for protection against gangs. And like in Aurora, they have a nice group at the Aurora Township, and this really gives children something to do after school instead
Help
of
the senior citizens.
Help the senior citizens.
Thank you. And yes, go back there. Hang on just a second. Come on down. I think that microphone's dead, so come on down. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm a recovering addict, and I know that it can help, because I have a son that's 12 years old, and if I recovered and got myself together and I'm willing to help my son and lead him the right way, it starts in the home. My mother, she helped me, I'll help my son, and I feel everybody else should help their kids, and we all help each other. We've formed a little league within the Garfield Counseling Center. We take the kids every week to baseball, and it's just me helping my son today. And helping myself first.
Everybody helping everybody else. Give yourself a great big hand and say thank you to yourself.
Hi, my name is Tanya Bell. I'm also a student at Inglewood High School. I'm from Black Youth in Action. And what I have to say is, don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution.
Thank you very much.
My name is Henrietta Gordon, and I'm part of Lowell Parent Watch. And we had fun with game, but we solved and we stuck together. And now I'm a big sister for around the neighborhood for all the kids.
Thank you very much.
My name is Margaret.